Hey, so hi everyone, this is
Peter,
Justdaze, or just
Andrea.
let's look at me.
Maleficent, Tanika, Leon, is everybody awake? It's time for something different. Don't drool everywhere, Andrea.
Well, this is Justdaze, and yeah. Well, I wanted to ask this character because he had a really interesting accent, very Italian, too. I guess just to show off they have cool accents. I might show some other characters off, also I wanted to get to Six's storyline and continue that. I'm glad actually some people are actually watching this. I wasn't sure if people were, but, it's nice because it's such a pretty game, and I'd love to show it off. Let's see, so let's continue Treasuring the Long Night. Unfortunately, Oliver's quest, I don't think I ended up, finishing it. I kind of lost interest and I didn't think people were watching. But I guess this more so since this is like the more main cast, I guess, main storyline. The events are really interesting. Let's see, this time we parted on poor terms. After a long while, I grew taller, the hem of my dress had risen from my ankles to my calves, and Atticus and I brought up that avoided debate again. Who is as 2'10"?
Atticus!
All girls. Sophia. When I found Atticus, he was as usual wandering alone on the beach. What's Sophia? I always found them there early in the morning, so if I needed to speak with him, I would come here at the same time.
Good morning.
It's so cool seeing them as kids. I think I've seen that. Well, maybe we haven't some of the story quests. Like the main cast. This is more like the side cast and the side stories. He was bringing a stranded fish back into the sea. As it flashed from his hands, he gave me a smile.
Good morning.
Of all the people on the island, Atticus was the one I could communicate with the easiest. It wasn't anyone else's thought. Apeiron operated on its own set of rules to maintain stability. It was always going to be difficult for an outsider to break into their tight-knit community. But my visits to the beach were not just to see him. Are you here to collect your sand again today?
Yes.
The fine sand here is ideal for polishing lenses. My father's eyeglasses are just about ready. His eyesight has been deteriorating more and more. I hope these will help. Maybe it's because of my father's health. I feel more upset and more sensitive than usual. This is not a good time to confide. This morning he woke up and asked me why it was still dark. Hadn't the day arrived yet? I worry that the glasses won't keep up with his decline, or perhaps that they were never going to help him. And yet you still made them. I'm pretty sure it was a declarative statement, yet I could sense his confusion inside, more confusion than in any question. But I'm not always right, especially on this island, so perhaps I'm imagining things. I stopped speaking, knowing that sharing my worries with my father would do nothing to lessen them. The sea breeze blows over us. Each seagull's call cries distinct and loud. In the school, such unusual quietness often causes an uneasy feeling in my heart. Anxiety. Well, I have plenty of that. Which often is, but hopefully this is soothing. And the waves definitely wash it away, as well as this game, because it's just perfectly, it's more just soothing, I think. But now, despite the silence between us, my breathing is even. This peace of the moment feels comforting. Time passes in hours as the sunlight reaches overhead near its zenith. At last, Atticus stands up. Are you leaving? Yes, it's nearly lunchtime. But it's still early yet. Are you hungry? No. He shakes his head slightly, a bit uneasy. I need to go early, or there won't be any quiet spots left. I realize now why I rarely encounter him on the other routes I walk. Why don't you sit with us? Is it because of Tuned in 10? I asked softly, then immediately regretted, realizing that my appropriate questions would only cause awkwardness. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to. Panic occupies my mind, and I struggle to come up with a suitable excuse. No. Atticus's response surprises me. He gently shakes his head.
I think otherwise.
I'm not specifically trying to avoid him. As if sensing my guilt, he smiles. Before 2 and 10 was 2 and 10, he didn't look kindly on me. Of course, that has to do with his competitive nature, which I never minded. Then he became 2 and 10, a number easily factored, and well, everything that comes next feels terribly predictable. He looks down at the sand, then lifts his head again. I know why you asked, Sophia. Please don't take it hard. The speech was just a trigger. Our interactions have always been like this.
Yes.
I try to remember the debate that comes out of nowhere. I don't quite understand. When I first arrived here, you took such excellent care of me. And you, 2 and 10, and 37 worked together as friends. But then, after your debate with him... I was young then, and I was flippant in my behavior. I provoked him. Given his character, I knew he would take it as humiliation. It was my decision, so I must accept the consequences of it. But that wasn't a debate, Sophia. He didn't want my point of view. Atticus's voice and manner are as calm and cool as the sea breeze. His description of his conflict with 2 and 10 was more like it came from a distant observer. I know him, and I know myself. We think differently. He is not in need of an exchange of ideas. In fact, he's not at all interested in what I think. He just wants a victory.
Yes.
He is competitive. His tone remains even, almost emotionless. An exchange of ideas like that is purposeless. Each side will stick to their own opinions, vainly trapped in position. In the end, there is no mutual understanding. It only further reinforces their own defenses. He sighs, the confusion surfacing again. I tried and tried, but people always step into the same river over and over again. Facing this inevitable end, any action at all seems futile. I'm not sure what to say. His words hold merit, but I somehow feel... Before I can utter another word, Atticus asks me a pointed question. Sophia, you're smart. You know enough about your father's life. You also know those glasses won't be of much help to him. Why do you choose to struggle so much against the path of your fate? It's an offensive question, and I feel first I should be uncomfortable with it. But I know it's different with Atticus. His confusion is genuine, not mocking me or cruel. I rarely have the opportunity to mentor others on this island. The whole thing is unfamiliar to me. I don't know. I regret my response. It is too hasty, too dismissive. In fact, I have the real reason clear in my mind. When my mother was dying of her illness, I felt powerless. I don't want to experience that a second time. I have to do something, anything. I take a deep breath, trying to gather my scattered thoughts. You're right, Atticus. Even with effort, we can't avoid the inevitable.
But I think we can't just sit around and do nothing about it.
The inquisition in his eyes is piercing. I feel suddenly I have to explain it in that way. Preparing for the inevitable is like preparing a psalm for a morning class. Practicing and familiarizing oneself with upcoming difficulties makes it easier to face them. I feel like I don't often, or rather I lack the time to really consider meaning. Sometimes the quality that allows us to face a fate isn't necessarily courage. It might just be the fear of the truth. Perhaps I'm destined to forget that lengthy song. Perhaps there's nothing I can do for my father. But preparing for what must come is better than doing nothing at all. But giving hope to others must be done in the name of courage, if nothing else. Wow, they get very philosophical in this game. It's very sweet though, I do like it. Everyone's very nice.
I just think...
If a glass bottle on the table is destined to fall, I would put a cloth on the floor around it, so even if the bottle does break, the mess will be easier to clean. I turn to look at Atticus. He's frowning as if pondering my words. Atticus, you don't actually want to answer that question, do you? I speculate on his thoughts, and this is also offensive. I've heard from 37 and others in the school about this revelation. I don't understand what it is exactly, but they say it's a gift of fate. Just like that, voice from above, the revelation promises all the wisdom of the world to the success of each generation.
But...
I try to express everything I feel. Do you fear it? I don't know. His voice is so faint that the words almost feel illusory, like a false memory, then it begins to roar. Roar? I'm also wondering if I'm speaking too soft, but hey, I'm just chilling.
If this gift is from the above,
And it never asks your own desires or cares about your existence, can it still be considered a gift?
so we really have no choice but to kneel before destiny, begging for its love and mercy.
I'm glad that they do voice some of like the important lines. They always have like a tenor or an accent to it that I can't really replicate, nor would I really try to. Voice acting a bit is fun, as well as just like talking. I'm surprised by the rage and intensity in his voice. I've never seen him so upset. The people of the island are generally reserved due to their intelligence. 210 is an outlier, but Atticus' words are still sharper. Maybe this is the perspective he held back from that debate. So I turn away from the table. I don't want to see whether the bottle is teetering. Escapism. I know how that feels. Atticus finally looks at the fine sand in my hand. But I think you're right. Prepare for anything that might happen. Ship in a bottle. I only remember that at the end of our conversation, he came towards me with a kind of expression on his face. Oh, a kind expression. The expression was like a smile, yet also like sorrow or perhaps relief. Face filled with determination. Determination! If you ever played Undertale, that's what it's coming from.
Thank you for the long talk, Sophia.
And thank you for listening to me, Atticus. We said goodbye as we did countless times before, not affectionately, but also not quite distantly. Acquaintances, then? I returned downhill to my home to continue making the lenses I knew would never be of any use to my father. But it's so cute that she does this, because she thinks of him. He went uphill to his house, back to the brilliance of the current, 6 in her supreme wisdom.
Goodbye.
I don't know why I said goodbye to Atticus. He turned back, nodding his head in acknowledgement. Kind of cute. The kids are so cute together. After that, I have never seen Atticus walking on the beach again. He began his long retreat. It's cute. The cutest kids. I'm not sure I'm into his design as much. His hair sometimes reminds me kind of like seaweed. Reminds me of like kind of Snape for some reason. Except blonde. But seems like a decent sort. Good leader, although he doesn't particularly want to be a leader, which is interesting.